What's going on, everybody? It's yours truly, Coach Mike Dove, here with another edition of the Dub Report on Lockdown Defense Sports Studio. Of course, we are keeping things rolling on to week 6, wrapping up week 5. Listen, the year is rolling on. It's rolling on. It's kind of hard to believe that we're already about to pull up week 6, but we got some big things to cover. Obviously, the Commanders coming off of a big game against the Chargers. We're going to break that down, and then we're going to dive deep into our upcoming game against the Chicago Bears. So we got a lot to talk about. We love to hear from you guys in the comments. We love to hear from you guys what you thought about the big game between the Commanders and the Chargers. Of course, it was highly anticipated between both teams. Both teams needing a win. Um, and yeah, it was just something that you were looking forward to for quite some time. And we're going to dive right into it. So without further ado, let's jump right ahead and review how we did heading against the Chargers. So of course, if you saw the game, you saw that we came up with a big win in LA, 27-10. Definitely wasn't something that a lot of people expected as far as the score. Thought that it was going to be a lot closer, and I will say that the game was a lot closer than the score was indicate. Both teams were fighting injuries. Both teams were fighting a lot that was going on. Coming into this game, like I said, both coming off of a loss. The Chargers previously losing a big game to the Giants, and then coming in this game, battling a lot of injuries. Us coming off a big loss to the Falcons, also missing a lot of key players. So there's a lot of questions going into the game. What I can say overall, I give our performance probably about a B minus. Maybe even a C plus. And I know you're probably saying we came away with the win in double digits on the road against a non-conference opponent. That's it's a pretty big win, you would think, and it is. And I love the fact that we were able to get the W. But what I will say is that we definitely benefited from the Chargers making a lot of mistakes, the Chargers missing some key guys, and this is professional sports. This is just a part of the game, not making any excuses for the Chargers or diminishing the fact that we came up with a win because it's hard to win in this league. We're definitely happy about getting the W. But I will say that there still was some things that we wanted to tighten up. There still are some things that we want to make sure that we can fix if we're going to win against teams at their full potential, and if we want to perform to our fullest potential. So, like I said, there were a lot of key plays that we benefited from, a lot of key mistakes that the Chargers made that we benefited from. And that's part of the game, is putting yourself in position where you can benefit from those mistakes and can benefit from those penalties and mental errors and things like that. So we did do enough to win the game. We put ourselves in position to put it away in the fourth quarter with big drives by our offense, big stops by our defense. We kept Herbert from making any really big plays and getting in a rhythm. If you saw the first drive, you probably will hold your breath as the type of game that it was going to be. But our defense did a good job adjusting and really pretty much just keeping that offense at bay. That leading to our player of the game. Big game could be perhaps the breakout performance that we've been looking for Bill, our running back, which we talked a lot about this season, and you probably heard about being one of the biggest talks of some of the rookies coming in and contributing heavy to their team. This was another breakout performance from him, and it goes to show how important the run game is to not just our team, but a lot of different teams. And a solid ace running back is something that we haven't seen here for quite some time and that we've been looking for. Obviously, we got our quarterback, we got some big name guys at wide receiver, but we need that one stalwart, kind of that bell cow running back that we've been looking for quite some time. And Bill has been the guy to kind of benefit from, some the trade from Brian Robinson earlier, and then of course the injury to Austin Eckler really opened the door for Bill to come out and do his thing. And he had a great game this week. And one thing that I hope that we will see going forward is us feeding him a little more, not just in the run game, but also in the pass game. Of course, we know the days of the bell cow running back getting 30 carries a game is not really something that we see that often anymore. But I would love to see us get him involved in the offense consistently, so that he can really show his skill and open up the dynamic ability to the offense. It keeps us from being one dimensional. I think he adds to another aspect of our of our offense to keep the defense guessing. Of course, in the later months, when we get start getting into December and January playoff push, it's going to be beneficial that we have a good run game, and then also it's going to keep our defense off the field, which is always a plus. So I'm always an advocate for the run game. I love the fact that we had a big game, and I hope that we lean on that a little bit more going into the second half of the season. So shout out to Bill for being our player of the game. Now, that being said, it's time for us to move on to our week 6 opponent. We are back in prime time Monday night. It's going to be a great atmosphere at Northwest Stadium. I can't wait until we build the new stadium in a few years and what that's going to feel like on a Monday night or a Sunday night prime time. Obviously, we're not there yet, but needless to say, there still will be an electric atmosphere. This is Caleb Williams' second year in a row coming home to play his hometown team. Of course, him being a DC native, coming home last year. We remember how that game ended with the with the Hail Mary debacle for Chicago fans. I'm sure they're chomping at the bit to get back at this game. I've seen some graphics on social media and a lot of the Chicago Bears fan base really bigging up this matchup between the two quarterbacks, two sophomore year quarterbacks. A lot of people had Caleb Williams, or Chicago fans, I should say, had Caleb Williams as the runner up for Rookie of the Year last year. They want to prove that he is the best quarterback out of the class. Obviously, Washington fans and a lot of other fans have something to say about that because we feel like Jay Daniels is the best quarterback from that class. So I can see the NFL trying to have this be, I don't want to say a rivalry, but I think they're going to try to put them up against each other as much as possible just to see who's going to be the better performer. The Commanders are the favorite by 4.5, which is pretty surprising dealing with the injuries that we're having right now. The Bears are looking pretty good, pretty solid in the beginning half of the season or the beginning part of the season, specifically right before their bye week. They came up with some big wins, or with a big win, I should say. So let's see how this thing ends up. Like I said, this is the second year in a row that the teams will meet in Washington, and I think it should be a good one. So, what's going to need to happen? First and foremost, let's take a look at our X factors. And I know the first X factor, this game I will say is a little bit unconventional as far as our X factors for a few different reasons. Uh, and it's more so position groups, but I highlighted certain people because I do want them to really take take a performance to the next stage. So first and foremost on the offensive side of the ball, why Luke McCaffrey? I want to give him a shout out for the big play that he made against the Chargers. I believe it was like a 50-yard catch. It was just an amazing catch, way to hold on to it. It was just a great play that really kept the momentum in our favor. And it was plays like that happened specifically throughout that game that kept the Chargers from coming back and kept us kind of putting that game out of reach. And Luke McCaffrey, his ability to, or his, I think his um, the opportunity is there for him to have the ability to stretch the field for us. Obviously, we got some possession receivers in Debo. There is a chance that Terry may play this week, which would be even better for us to kind of stretch the field. And if there was 100% that he was playing this week, he would be my X factor. But we're going to monitor him coming into that Monday night game, which it does help that he has an extra day of rest. But that receiving core in general, we need somebody that's going to stretch the field and add to the diversity and add to the ability to kind of keep the defense guessing. And I think Luke McCaffrey could possibly be that. That big catch that he made could get him some more reps. Obviously, like I said, some injuries that's happening in the wide receiver room. But even without the injuries, I think that guys have different skill sets that we may be able to utilize. And Luke is a guy that is really good at tracking the ball, tracking the deep ball. I think there may be an opportunity for us to take advantage of that this game, just to keep that offense, like I said, versatile and keep us from being one dimensional. So hopefully Luke McCaffrey can have, if not a big game, then at least some big plays, maybe some third down conversions, some opportunities, some big shot plays early on, or whatever the case is, just to stretch the field and be that big play receiver, or just a guy to kind of mix things up there. So I'm looking for Luke McCaffrey to have, if not a big game, then at least a few big plays to kind of keep things rolling. And on the defensive side, our linebacker, specifically Bobby Wagner, there's been a lot of talk about Bobby Wagner and coverage and some mismatches with him covering running backs out the backfield. That has been a problem for him. Of course, Bobby Wagner is aging. We saw what Bijan was able to do against them. And then even Hampton, had a pretty good game last week. Tackling has been a problem for our defense, not specifically Bobby Wagner per se, but the entire defense. We're going to have to tackle better going into the second half of the season. And, this is going to be a big matchup for him against DeAndre Swift, who's another receiving back, another versatile back. It could cause some mismatches. So hopefully our defense is able to put ourselves in a position where we can take advantage of that. Maybe Bobby Wagner isn't the cover guy. I don't know what the answer will be, but when Bobby Wagner is on the field, I think he's going to have to play a big part and, get his sideline to sideline, not getting exploited in the pass game, and pretty much neutralizing DeAndre Swift, who, if we're not careful, could be a major X factor for the Bears in this game. And that being said, let's wrap things up by talking about our keys to victory. So first and foremost, let's win the turnover battle. We know that Caleb Williams likes to, be a gunslinger. He's going to take chances. He's going to extend the play. We need our secondary, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a little bit, but we need our secondary to really get some turnovers. For as good as our defense has played this year, we haven't had a lot. We had a big one last week, but Mike Sandstrom in the red zone, taking up some points out off the board. But when you get turnovers, of course, it's could be 14-point swing. Not only are you taking points off the board for your team, but you're giving your offense opportunity. Depending on how you return it, you may return it back. You put your guys in good position. So let's take the ball out of their hands. We know that's an explosive offense or opportunity to be an explosive offense. So the less chances that they get, the better for us. So let's make sure that we win that turnover battle by also not turning the ball over ourselves and taking care of it. Jaden Daniels has been pretty good at that. Let's protect the football, no fumbles, nothing foolish. And I think we give ourselves a chance to win. I mentioned the tackling when I talked about Bobby Wagner. Our tackling has been atrocious this year. Every game we played, we have not been able to get the ball carried down to the ball. There's been a lot of yards after contact. There's been a lot of, just second effort plays. And I'm not liking how we're approaching that on the defensive side of the ball. So I think that we could really improve in that area this week if we want to increase our chances of winning. And finally, defensive discipline, specifically when it comes to secondary. For the last few weeks, there's been a lot of talk about our communication in the secondary, some busts and coverage, some chances guys are taking. We've been pretty aggressive, as far as our coverage sometimes, and we've been taking advantage of. Specifically, Lattimore has struggled. And these are guys that have been all pros in the past, and we got some talent at the secondary position, but we have to stay disciplined from a coordinator standpoint. We have to communicate better. Guys have to know what their assignments are. We can't give up big plays to those receivers in Chicago. They have the ability to make those big plays. So we have to make sure that we are disciplined. We have to make sure that we're communicating, just to keep that from happening. Once again, Caleb Williams is a big shot guy. He's going to want to take advantage of any lapses in communication, any busted coverage. So we have to limit that by staying disciplined, being well coached, and pretty much just doing our job from the first snap and really sticking with it. So those are our keys to victory. This is a very winnable game for us. Once again, this is the part of the season where you want to stack as many victories as possible because you never know what the back end of the season can be. Teams are battling through injuries, our teams included. We're starting to hit our stride now, starting to find out what guys can help us out, starting to find out who mixes in best with certain packages. So, this is the time to really stack those wins. And of course, this being a divisional game, you never know how that can shape up, or a conference game, I should say, you never know how that can shape up in the playoff race, wild card, whatever it may be. So, uh, big game for us. Week 6, keep things rolling. Let me know what you all think. What are your thoughts? What are you looking to see this week? Who are your keys to victory? Or who are your big play guys, X factors, and what are your keys to victory? You can catch us on all of our channels here. Catch AG with the Chiefs Insider, RG, of course, with the Chargers Insider, and all the other content that we have for you on the channel. So like, subscribe, share. We look forward to hearing from you soon, and let's have a good week.